All right, we are going to 22. No. All right. April's here, so she said the rally's in April. That's the first time she told us the actual when it would be. So we've moved in the last couple of chapters through about three or 4 months technically from November all the way to here. But let's see what goes down. It rained the first 2 weeks of April, and Luke. We're on 107 by the way. It came out. And Luke was in a tizzy, wondering when he would ever get to see Jen again. Finally, the ground dried out, and Dad headed out to the fields to plow. Luke raced to Jen's house. "Oh, good," she greeted him. "You can get the advanced battle plans." "I was afraid you were just going to have to pick them up Thursday night and fill you in then." Luke carefully slid the door shut behind him and straightened the blinds so he and Jen would be totally hidden. Then he turned to face her. "What are you talking about?" he asked. But he knew. His heart began to thump harder than it had to rush through the backyards. "The rally, of course," Jen said impatiently. "Everything's set. I'm taking one of my parents' cars, bro." I'm picking up 3 other kids on my way, but I made sure that there'd be room for you. You should feel lucky. Lots of kids are just going to walk. We're meeting at the president's house at 6 a.m. Luke clutched the cord to the blinds. "Do you know how to drive?" he asked. "Well enough." She flashed him a wicked grin. "My brothers told me how. Come on." She waved him over to the couch. He sank into it a while. Jen perched on the edge. "What if the population police stop you before you get to the Capitol?" he asked. "Us, you mean. We. You're going too, remember? Don't worry, nobody will stop us." She giggled. "I checked the National Employee Staffing schedules through the computer. Let's just say several of the population police got some unexpected days off." "You mean you changed their schedules? You can do that?" Jen nodded, a wicked gleam in her eye. "Took me a whole month to figure out how, but you are now looking at an accomplished hacker." Dimly, Luke realized why Jen had seemed so relaxed and happy on his last several visits. They'd been vacations for her, breaks from the intense work on plans for the rally. He looked closer and saw that the fatigue in her eyes. She looked like a younger version of Mom after the 12-hour shift in the chicken factory, or Dad after a long day of baling hay. But there was something more in her expression. His parents never looked so feverishly giddy. "What if someone finds out what you did and then changes it back?" Jen shook her head. "They won't. I was very selective. I coordinated everyone's travel plans and only eliminated the police who had to be eliminated." "Aren't you excited? We're going to be free after all these years." She leaned down and pulled a sheaf of paper out from under the couch. "Best hiding place in the world. The maid's too lazy to clean under there. Now let's see. I'll pick you up at 10 p.m. and..." Luke was glad that she was looking at the papers instead of him. He wouldn't have been able to meet her eyes. Okay. So nobody's going to get caught on the way to the Capitol. But once you're there, at the president's house, someone will call the population police. And then..." Luke felt panicky just thinking about it. Jen wasn't fazed. "So what?" she asked. "I don't care who gets called once we're there. Heck, I may call the population police myself. They're not going to do anything to a crowd of 1,000, especially not when lots of us are related to government officials. We'll make them listen to us. We are a revolution." Luke looked away. "But your friends, you were mad at them because they weren't into it. What if they don't show up?" "What do you mean?" Jen's voice was fierce. Luke could barely speak for the panic welling inside of him. "In the chat room, they were making jokes. Carlos and Sean and the others. You said they weren't taking it seriously." "Oh, that was a long time ago. They're all on board. They're psyched. Why, Carlos is my lieutenant in all of this. You wouldn't believe how much he's helped. So, okay, 10 o'clock, and then it's 8 hours to the Capitol. And..." She consulted her papers again. "What kind of sign do you want to carry? I deserve life, or in the population law now, or this is the one I found in an old book. Give me liberty or give me death." That's from the Revolutionary War, right? Luke tried to imagine that Jin seemed to be taking for granted. He could get in a car. He'd sat in a pickup in the barn, and a car wasn't much different. In 8 hours? That would be all he had to do was sit. Not that difficult. Except that panic would be coursing through him for the entire 8 hours because of where the car was going. And then to get out in public at the president's house and carry a sign, his imagination failed. He broke out in a cold sweat. Jin, he started. Yes? Jin waited. The silence between them seems like it to be growing, like a balloon. Luke struggled to speak. I can't go. Jin gaped at him. I can't, he said again weakly. Jin shook her head briskly. Yes, you can, she said. I know you're scared. Who isn't? But this is important. Do you want to hide all of your life, or do you want to change history? Luke made a stab at humor. Isn't there another choice? Jin didn't laugh. She sprang from the couch. Another choice. Another choice. She paced, and then jerked back to face Luke. Sure, you can be a coward and hope someone else changes the world for you. You can hide up in the attic of yours until someone knocks at the door and says, oh yeah, they freed the hidden. Want to come out? Isn't that what you want? Luke didn't answer. You gotta come, Luke, or you'll hate yourself for the rest of your life. When you don't have to hide anymore, even years from now, there'll always be some small part of you whispering, I don't deserve this. I didn't fight for it. I'm not worth it. And you are, Luke, you are. You're smart and funny and nice, and you should be living your life instead of being buried alive in that old house of yours. Maybe I just don't mind hiding as much as you do, Luke whispered. Jin faced him squarely, her gaze unwavering. Yes, you do. You hate the walls as much as I do, maybe more. Have you ever listened to yourself? Every time you talk about how you used to go outdoors and work in the garden or something, you glow. You're alive. Even if you don't want anything else, don't you want to get out of the outdoors back? What Luke wanted was to get away from Jin, because she was right. Everything she said was right, but that couldn't mean he had to go. He huddled deeper in the couch. I'm not brave like you, he said. Jin grabbed his shoulders and peered into his eyes. Oh yeah, she said. You dared to come over here, didn't you? And here's something. Why are you always the one who makes the trip? Ever think of that? If I'm so much braver, how come I'm not risking my life to see you? There were 1,000 answers to that. Because I found you first. Because your house is safer than mine. Because I need you more than you need me. You got your computer and all your chat room friends. And you go places. Luke squirmed away. My dad hangs around my house too much, he said. It's safer that way. I'm protecting you. Jin backed up. Thanks for the chivalry, she said bitterly. I've got enough people protecting me. If you care so much, why don't you go help me get free? You say you won't come to the rally for yourself, so do it for me. That's all I'll ever ask of you. Luke winced. When she put things that way, how could he not go? Except he couldn't. You're crazy, he said. I can't go, neither should you. It's too dangerous. Jin flashed him a look of pure disgust. You can leave now, she said coldly. I don't have time for you. Luke could feel the ice in her words. He stood up. But, go, Jin said. Luke stumbled toward the door. He stopped by the blinds and turned around. Jin, can't you understand? I don't want it to work. I hope... Hope doesn't mean anything, Jin snapped. Action's the only thing that counts. Luke backed out the door. He stood on the Talbots' patio, blinking in the sunlight, breathing in the smell of fresh air and danger. Then he turned and ran home.
Dang, this next chapter is short.
It is. We're just going to finish this last one. 23. I can't believe she booted him out, man.
I hope he still ends up home.
Luke let the kitchen door slam behind him, and he didn't care. He was so mad, his eyes blurred. The nerve of her saying, I don't have time for you. Who did she think she was? He tramped up the stairs. She'd always thought she was better than him. just because she was a baron, showing off with her soda and potato chips and her fancy computer. So what? It didn't mean she was special, just because her parents had lots of money. It wasn't like she'd earned it or anything. Who was she, anyway? Just some dumb old girl. He wished he'd never gone over there. All she did was brag, 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 and show off. That's all the rally was anyhow, showing off. Hey, look, I'm a third child, and I can go to the president's house, and nobody will hurt me. He hoped someone shot her.
Oh my God.
That would show her. Luke stopped in the middle of pulling the attic door shut behind him. No, he took it back. He didn't want anyone to shoot her. His knees went weak, and he had to sit down on the stairs. All of his anger suddenly turned to fear. What if someone did shoot her? He remembered the sign that she'd asked if he wanted to carry. Give me liberty, or give me death. Was she serious? Did she expect to... He stopped himself from thinking the rest. What if she never came back? He should go, if only to protect Jen, but he couldn't. Luke buried his face in his hands, trying to hide from his own thoughts. Mother found him there hours later, still crouched on the stairs. Luke, we're getting impatient, waiting for me to come home. Did you have a nice day? Luke stared at her as though she were a vision from another life. He started, ready to spill everything. He couldn't hold it in. Mother felt his forehead. Are you sick? You're so pale. I worry about you, Luke, all day long, but then I remind myself you're safe here at home, out of harm's way. She gave him a weary smile and ruffled his hair. Luke swallowed hard and recovered himself. What was he thinking? He couldn't tell anyone about Jen. He couldn't betray her. I'm fine, he lied. And I sit him out in the sun for a while, remember? Not that I'm complaining, of course, he added hastily. Hiding again.